p.m.
Welcome to the Wise Take DFS Week 12 NFL Review Show. I am your host, Patio Joe. You can follow me at Twitter at Patio Joe Ref. And I'm joined here today by my man, Johnny the Greek. You can find him at Twitter at GDaddy80. How you doing, Johnny?
I'm doing all right. I'm just trying to decide when I'm watching NFL weekends if I'm watching NFL football or if I'm watching MMA, because every week it seems to be some kind of a new issue, and Crabtree cost me a lot of money this weekend. So on a little bit of a rant there for you. Start the show.
Yeah, I didn't do very well yesterday. I cashed in one tournament. Thankfully, it was the highest dollar that I put in, so that was the one silver lining. But it was a decent day. I had the right players. They weren't on the right teams. There was nobody really that I wasn't on that was just absolutely, killed it. I mean, obviously, as we go over the top fives here, there are a couple of surprises. Did you have any like Robbie Anderson or anything?
No, I stayed away from the landmines. I just didn't expect Crabtree to get thrown out of that game. I mean, that was really my only issue. I mean, I made money this weekend. It was a decent weekend, but it would have been a phenomenal weekend if it wasn't for that Crabtree being thrown out.
Yeah, I agree. So let's get into this. We're going to go over a couple lineups as we go. We have the DK Millie Maker lineup, and then we're going to go over the FanDuel qualifying lineup yesterday that qualified for going down to Rancho Palos Verdes in a couple weeks. Have you ever been to the FanDuel qualifiers for football?
Yes, I've been a guest. I don't play a lot on FanDuel, so I don't really do the qualifiers there because I don't want to throw all my bankroll for FanDuel into qualifiers. So I kind of stay away from those. But I've been a guest to one of the FanDuel live finals. I've gone to a DraftKings final that I've qualified for and a Fantasy Aces. So I've had some exposure to the different ones. FanDuel definitely does put on a great live final, and they always get a couple of really good former guys like Dan Marino, Joe Montana was the year I went there. So that was a pretty good experience. So definitely going to see somebody big. Probably Joe Montana will be there this year, I'm thinking.
And it's at Terranea, right?
Yeah.
Terranea is nice. Everybody out there, if you have the means and you want to get a hotel to stay at by the water, Terranea is your spot. You're a little bit off the beaten path because it's a little bit further from the airport and stuff, but Terranea is pretty sick. I've been there, and when we were looking at wedding venues, that was our high range. We wanted to find our ranges. We had the low range. Okay, yeah, this is a piece of crap, and then we had the high range. That was Terranea, but we didn't. We went somewhere in there, in the middle. So let's get into quarterbacks. Let's get into quarterbacks, and then we'll get into the lineups. The top 5 quarterbacks on Sunday. The top quarterback of the week was Phillip Rivers, and I hope some of you guys played him. I had a little bit of him in my seasonal team. We were talking before, guys. My seasonal team, I had Phillip Rivers, and he was the number 1 quarterback of the week. But the top 5 from yesterday, a couple surprises, 2 surprises and 3 not. We got McCown, Wilson, Wentz, Goff, and Bortles. Did you have any McCown, Johnny?
I did not play McCown.
Yeah,
I was off. I just thought that was going to be honestly, I thought that was a landmine game. I didn't want to play him. I didn't want to play any Anderson. I didn't want to do any of that. I should have definitely been a lot more on them though. Yeah. But yeah.
And then I had Russell Wilson as my cash game quarterback. Carson Wentz did great. I mean, he did good. I mean, he wasn't 3x good, but he did all right. And then Bortles, I guess, was the surprise of the day. Did you have any Bortles at all?
No Bortles. I like money too much, and he's such a big risk. And I'm trying to have less risk variance with my lineup, so I didn't have any of him.
Yeah, and I just think I don't know. I watched a lot of that Rams game, and I think Jared Goff going forward is an everyday discussion to play, no matter who they're playing. I mean, obviously the New Orleans secondary wasn't very good, but he just watching him with the ball, boy, he looked night and day differently than he did last year. Did you have any Goff or Wentz?
I did. So I did my pick six show, and he almost made it over Newton. I just thought with the mobility of Newton, I really liked him. So he was actually my number two value quarterback as a whole. So I had a lot of him. The only problem was I went back and forth with Kupp and Watson. With Watkins. I just didn't make the right correlation plays to go along with him to make a bunch of money. But all of my Goff lineups cashed.
Yeah, I wish I had a little bit more. My quarterbacks yesterday was Wilson. I had a Ryan stack team. I had a Ben stack team. Then I had one Brissett. And Brissett just didn't produce like we wanted him to. He was one of the busts. Obviously, Paxton Lynch was another bust for the price. He didn't even get it. Obviously, there was that one touchdown taken away from Devontae Booker that would have helped on both sides because I had a little bit of Booker too for his price. He was a good price. It seemed to me, though, that like once we talked about we'll talk about running backs. It seemed like even the value running backs didn't really hit yesterday that well. It was basically the receivers' day. If you had the receivers, is what really helped you. Any other quarterbacks that you played that busted out for you that didn't do very well?
No, I mean the two plays I was on my lower dollar quarterbacks I were on were Brissett, and I got off on him in cash. Originally I had him set for cash, but I got off of him and went to Wilson. And then I had Paxton Lynch, but I wasn't betting the farm on him. My only thought process on him that he was 4,400. He was cheap, so I could get so much in with him, and it just allowed me to get Julio in, and then my bigger running back plays that I wanted to get in there, and some other plays I wanted to. So all my Paxton Lynch lineups actually cashed, and what I was trying to do is if he would have had a higher upside, if he would have had a better game, the upside would have been there, and I would have made more than just min cash or a little bit of cash there. I would have done well. So he allowed me to get so much in there, and then that was the sense of playing him. So yeah, and then that was it for me. I did have some Ryan as a top tier quarterbacks. He did pretty well for me. I had some Goff. I had a lot of Wilson. Wilson was my number one guy for the week. And then I had Cam Newton. And those were really my core of quarterbacks.
Is Russell Wilson like just a top 2 or 3 quarterback every week going forward for the rest of the year?
He's an offense. As I was saying in both shows I did this week for the guys, he's the whole offense. So he's going to play every week. I mean, I think the only thing that's going to keep him out of play for me is going to be salary. So if he gets up into the $8,000 range, I might run away from him because I don't see him putting up over 30 fantasy points. So that's where you're going to see me run away from him.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I'm looking at my one team on DK that had Paxton Lynch, and I had the most points. I had 166 points on this team. I don't play DK very much, so I had 166 points on this team, and I had Lynch and Hunt. So it was, and I still got 166 because I had a team with Kamara and Julio and Sammy Watkins, Delaney Walker, and the Eagles D. So it made up for it. If Lynch, like you said, if Lynch would have done what he did and Hunt did what he did, the team would have done really well. I had a D.D. Westbrook on that team too. But let's do this. Let's go into the first lineup. It's going to be the FanDuel. Let me actually, you know what? I'd give this to you. Let's do the DraftKings. We're going to do the DraftKings Millie Maker lineup. I'm going to share my screen here in just a second. And here we go. And there we are. This is the FanDuel or the DraftKings Millie Maker winning lineup. Bruselli, never even heard of the dude before. Congrats. Your life is different. I hope you're under a pound of women. Anyways, let's see. He went out with Bortles, Kamara, Joe Mixon. Here's the one play. Keelan Cole. Tell me about this guy.
Yeah, I was on Keelan Cole last week a little bit, but I moved off of him this week with D.D. Westbrook. I thought D.D. Westbrook was going to be the play there. So, yeah, he's the number 2 guy, right? Well, he was the number 2 guy before Westbrook came in there with the Hearns injury. So he's a good player. He's just didn't do much this week, but I mean it helped him build the rest of his lineup.
Well, yeah, and the thought process is that Marquise Lee was going to get locked down by Patrick Peterson, which he did, which would open up something for other people, and it just didn't hit him. I mean, he hit, Westbrook got something, and I forget who caught the touchdown pass for. I know Bortles threw a couple, but yeah. And then there's the other part of the lineup. I mean, Julio Jones, Cooper Kupp, Gronk, Robbie Anderson is becoming one of the most dependable receivers in the NFL right now, and he was 5% owned. And then the Jaguars D, which just gets that TV, almost gets a defensive touchdown every week. What do you think about his lineup? I mean, everybody thought Mixon was not going to do it this week, and he busted out.
Yeah,
I think that was a huge play.
That was the difference. A lot of people were on Mixon, like in the industry. A lot of touts I was hearing out there in the industry, they were on Mixon. And I didn't want to play Mixon because against Cleveland, Cleveland's run defense has been good, and so I was off of him, But a lot of guys were on Mixon this week, so he turned out to be a great play, at only 11% ownership is pretty good there. I think though that his biggest play, his big move here was the Blake Bortles play. I mean, I didn't have the stones to play him, so congrats to him for that.
I wonder how many teams he had in this too.
Yeah, and then the Julio Jones play. I mean, that was obvious. That was my biggest play of the week. I was really on them, and I didn't have any Jaguars this week. They're a little bit expensive. I had Philadelphia, which Philadelphia put up a little bit more points anyways, but still 245 points in NFL on DraftKings is a big week with a score of 9 from Keenan Cole. And I think the Keenan Cole play was more getting off Westbrook because I think Westbrook was a little bit higher owned, so just getting a little bit of a differential play. But anyways, I think that was what his intentions were.
Let me ask you something. You talked about how other people in the industry was on Mixon and you weren't because the Browns were so good. I was on that because the Browns were so good. So other than a hunch, other than this is just what I think today and I'm a tout.
Yeah.
What are they seeing that we're not seeing? That's what I'm trying. We should all try and do to raise our game, because sometimes you see these guys and you're like, damn, you saw that happen. Where is it? Because you went back the last 4 weeks and you saw this trend that they've been going downward, and this is, or what is it? What I mean? Is it just a hunch?
Well, let's just go back a second ago, and two things that don't make any sense to me is the Browns are good, and that's what you said, and that's what I said. Their defense is good. I don't, and I think that's our problem. Yes. You know what I mean? No. But what I mean is the run defense, whatever you put, anything with Browns and good should never go together because they are god awful. They're 0-16 team this year probably. They're horrible. So I think that's where we both made a mistake there. Is we think the Browns are better than they are. And yes, their defense has been shut down when it comes to run, but we have to look at why they haven't, who they've played, and what style of run. Mixon is not a through the tackles guy, and he's a mobile guy. He's a fast guy. He can break it. He can break long runs. So I guess if I look back at it and I'd break the tape down and I got to go back and watch the game because this is a game I did not see. I got to get back and watch it and see where we went wrong there, and then maybe kind of reevaluate this Cleveland, or was it a fluke? I got to look at what was going on and the game flow to give you a better breakdown of that. But I think again today, even if I would have the same information that I had last week going into the game was being played today, I would make the same play. I don't think I'd play Mixon. But again, I think we both have to get off that Browns good defense now. No matter what. And I think going forward, if there's a running back next week that's playing against them and they're a running back that's going to get high usage and so on and so forth, maybe we need to take a look at them.
All right, good. All right, so let's move on to running backs now. Top 5 running backs this week. 2 of them, I think we were on. 3 of them, I would say no. Maybe a little bit DK love just because of price, but Alvin Kamara, I mean, he is just he's my new. I texted a friend of mine. He's my new Antonio Gates, and Antonio Gates was my favorite player and is my favorite player in the NFL for years. I mean, I just had a love affair with him. I named my bong after him. It was It was everything. You know, I love Mr. Gates. You know what I mean? And Kamara, man, that guy, just watching him run is just a thing of beauty. And and Sean Payton was quoted last week saying the only thing that's standing in the way of him being rookie of the year is me. You know, so the guy is just. I watched that game and it's like give him the ball all the time. It's awesome to see. But the other guys, you know, Tevin Coleman was the chalk running back of the week. He delivered, got what he needed, got the 2 touchdowns, got the touches, but then guys like Mixon, Lynch, and Burkhead. Did you have any of those guys?
Yeah, no, I was off the Burkhead train because I played him the week before, and then you know with Deion Lewis, the running back situation there with Deion Lewis and stealing things. I'm not a fan. And I can't play I really just can't play the Patriots. So Mixon, again, I was off because of the Cleveland situation. Getting back to real quick, touching on Kamara, I was really on Kamara, and I one of our shows that we did last week, I let everybody know about his role. He's that Darren Sproles play that the Saints were so good with a few years back, but he's much better than Sproles. You know, he's a better catcher. Yeah. He's faster. I think he's more mobile and more athletic. So you can't go wrong with him. He's the guy there. If you're going to play anybody, he's the guy. So yeah, I was on that play. But other than all the other of those values, I wasn't on.
Yeah, with Kamara, I mean, I wrote about it on my article because they always like Ingram or Kamara. And I always say Kamara is a guy you got to go to, even on both sides, because I just think that he's game script agnostic. You know, like any type of game script, he fits the mold. And you know that Sean Payton prefers him over Ingram, but he also knows that the offense works best when Ingram is involved too. So, you know, he's got to give Ingram his stuff. And just to let you know, guys, Ingram did have a touchdown called back from holding later at some. I think it was in the second half at some point, to which I think they settled for a field goal, but it was a holding call that they got back. So sometimes those plays that you miss meant a lot. One play I want to talk about because he was a point of contention. I got in a little bit of an argument with not an argument. There was some guy on Twitter, a well-respected tout, that said, "Oh, I heard Carlos Hyde is a thing this week," and so I said, "Well, what do you see that I don't see?" And he's like, "The matchup couldn't be as worse as it is, as worse as it could be." And I said, "Okay, I see how it's bad, but I also see volume and opportunity, and I see that." He was 5,500, and he wound up getting 13.9 points or 13.8 points. Didn't kill you. He almost got you 3x. You know, obviously he got 21 reception yards, but he got like 7 receptions or something. So what'd you think about Hyde? I mean, I know it was a bad matchup, but at some point, volume and knowing he's like the only guy, why wouldn't you play him price-wise, you know?
No, he was a great play. He was one of my pick six this week. Plays I did. We did a pick six show. Hyde, great value. He put up 20 points against a healthy Seattle defense in Seattle this year. He was a great play. You know, you got to understand. You know, Beathard gets injured. You know, Jimmy comes in. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. You know, I think that sometimes the game script doesn't work in the favor of the plays. You know, and that's why people are looking at Julio this week. You know, put up his massive points that he put up this week. Or where has he been the other weeks? You know what? Coaches and game scripts, are going to dictate how our players play week in and week out. And just because a player doesn't, put up the points we expect them to put up doesn't mean that we were wrong in the decision-making process that we were into, or that you guys are in DFS or in that making the wrong decisions. Or does it make the play a bad play? It just makes it didn't work out in our favor because of whatever other, intangibles happen. Like, we can't expect a fight to happen, guy getting kicked out. We can't expect any of that. We can't expect a guy getting injured. We can't expect quarterback getting injured, getting hurt, and all these different things. So, as I was saying last week too, when it comes to, the Cutler and the Moore issue, if you have Cutler playing, Landry and Parker the plays. If you have Moore in play, Still's the guy, Because matchups are everything, and who's in there playing has everything to do with it. Quarterback play is going to dictate all the positional play. If quarterback is injured or hurt or a new quarterback comes in, well, you know what? That new quarterback's going to come in and he's going to play with – he has a rapport with other players maybe on that team that are filling injured spots. You have to look at San Francisco having a lot of injured players and receivers, secondary plays. So Garoppolo is going to go in there and he's going to start throwing to the guys he's comfortable with, that he's built a rapport with on the second team. Mm-hmm. So that's part of the issue there. So I just think that everybody is too quick to judge a play if it was good or bad when it really on paper was a good play. I mean, all of Seattle's plays, look at the pace. You have no Chancellor, you have no Sherman, Freeney's out. I mean, this is a great opportunity for him. A banged up defense, just bad game script, just in general.
Well, I thought the game script also worked against McKissick. Everybody was in love with McKissick.
Sure.
And there was a group of value running backs at 3,700 that you had to choose if you wanted Booker or McKissick, and there was one other one that was right around that same price point on DK that we all really liked, but they all basically did exactly the same, which was like 2.5x. There was one other guy, Booker, McKissick, Duke Johnson, same thing. Like they come out and they say we're gonna give Duke Johnson on the field more. And it didn't happen. It's so frustrating when coaches do it. I know.
He played more snaps. He just didn't get the usage and the touches. So, I wasn't on any of those values. I mean, Russ Wilson's really the only guy I want over in Seattle, and I'm going to play him naked every week. I'm not going to pair him up because he's got 4 viable targets there, plus McKissick. Is it going to be a Jimmy Graham week? Is it going to be a Baldwin week? Is it going to be a Lockett week? Is it going to be a Richardson week? I mean, there's just way too much going on there. So I think that Russ Wilson going forward is going to be an elite option and naked. Mm-hmm. And I know that's not a hot take, but maybe it is now.
Yeah. All right. Good. Yeah. No, I get that. All right, guys. So we're done with the running backs here. What we're going to do right now is I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to go over the FanDuel qualifier team. This is won by H.F. Graham Jr. Congrats. 200 points. This guy had the trifecta, man. He had Julio, Antonio, and Kamara. I mean, that's right there. You nailed it right there. And then you get 17 points from Dawson. Patriots D, which I thought was very sneaky. They put up 17 points, which was good. And then Kenny Stills, was all right. Tyler Kroft should have done a little more, but he did get in the end zone. Like we said, still got in the end zone. And then Tevin Coleman was just the lock. And he went, that was the chalky. It wasn't like Coleman was 32%, Brown was 22%, Julio was 27%. Kamara at 9% is a little surprising, in my opinion.
Well, and that's because he's the pass catching back there, and it's on FanDuel, so Ingram's definitely more popular. And I think that's what it was. But I think the game script was actually in Kamara's favor. I did a show with Slim Gady on Thursday, Thanksgiving night, to do a first look. And he was talking about, Kamara and Ingram are both cash game viable on FanDuel. I just think that, we have to not look at this situation with those two guys and with Kamara as a split back. We just have to look at it as just if that there was a number 1 and number 2 wide receiver. They're both viable every week, and you can play them in your lineups together. So I think, with the script going in the past with DFS, it's a handcuff, it's a bad play. You don't want that play. 2 running backs, they don't correlate well together. These guys do. They are the offense, and that's why I'm off of the Michael Thomases and the other players on them, because literally this is like 1A and 1B. It's Breeze and 1A, 1B. It's Kamara and Ingram. So that's their whole offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other comments about this lineup?
No, I know that the Kenny Stills play, that was a good play. That was on the Matt Moore train, so I know that's why he went there. And then the Kroft, that was just a great play, for the price. It's a little bit better price on DraftKings. So against the Cleveland Browns, who are the worst against the tight end. So Phil Dawson, that was the play right there. Man, 17 points for old man Phil Dawson. I had a little bit of the Patriots defense. I like that play against Miami.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the Phil Dawson, that's the random. I would say this lineup. That's the one wow right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wow. That's the wow for me because I didn't think he could put up 17 points anymore. I mean, but yay for him.
Speaking of defenses, because I don't get what happened to the Steelers D last night.
Yeah.
What the hell? I mean,
we
go after the Baltimore Ravens made the same defense look embarrassing last week, and now they go into Pittsburgh. That's the part of the NFL that just drives me crazy. And I know it's not. You're not trying to say recency bias, but how am I not supposed to think that this offense looked incompetent? Now you're going on the road against a better team, record-wise at least. How are you, And then they put up all these points and they've blown coverages and Cobb and Adams. What the hell is going on?
I mean, Huntley looked good last night. He looked man, I'm about to play him next week at 5,100, No, it was, I don't know. It was rough. I mean, I faded all the Packers. I stacked up the Big B's. I stacked up everybody there, and I was because I played on the Sunday Monday slate, and I was off of what's his name, Jamal Williams. I was off of him, and he put up 30 points. I faded him for Alex Collins today because I was like, oh, Pittsburgh's gonna shut these guys out. Big mistake. I was on all the right plays, just not on that play. And man, I don't know. Pittsburgh, wow.
Yeah.
Get your shit together, Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And then next week they'll go into Cincy and shut them out. It's just it's weird. So anyway, let's go move on to receivers. We got, let's see, of the 5, 2 of them were very chalky. And the one chalky guy that I'm very upset because it costed me some money. I tried to do a very simple switch just because it was the same price point, trying to be a little bit, contrarian thinking. Anyways, we'll get into it. But let's go over the top 5 first. We got Julio Jones, Robbie Anderson, Jermaine Kearse, Cooper Kupp, and Brandon Cooks. Robbie Anderson and Jermaine Kearse being the two of the top 3 receivers. Anderson, people saw. Kearse, I don't think anybody really saw. What happened to this Carolina secondary? That game seemed to never want to end. And did you have any Kearse or Anderson?
I was off the Kearse and Anderson. I thought those are landmines. A lot of people were touting them, but I thought that the Panthers were better than that, and so I was off that, so I didn't have any of them. I had a lot of Julio, though. Julio was one of my favorite picks of the week. So that's where I was with that.
Yeah, I had a lot of Julio. I didn't have him, like we talked about it before we started. I did not have him in my cash game. And I was surprised that he was 50% owned in cash games because, learning, we're supposed to be safe. And Julio Jones has been nothing. Safe has not been what you would describe Julio Jones this year. He's been underwhelming. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he's been a bust totally, but now I realize we've all been waiting for this game to happen. So that's why you play him, but I was just surprised he was 50% owned in cash games. It was after what he was doing the past weeks. I just want to hear some of, the reasons why you think, okay, yeah, he's safe, So the price was good.
You must have missed my Pick 6 show on Saturday because I gave a great breakdown of why he was the best play of the week. He's getting the targets. He went the last 3 weeks before this game. It was 12, 8, and 10 targets against. He's averaged over 25 DK points against Tampa Bay going for from the last 4 games. Everything was lining up for him. The only thing the last 3 weeks he's just not getting in the end zone. He's only got 1 touchdown this year, so it's all about regression. That this can't keep going on. So I knew it was going to happen. I knew he was going to get. I didn't want to throw anything bold out there, but I was going to throw on my show. I was going to say 8 catches, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns was where I was going to go with. And that's about what he did. So, he had a great game. I could see him, being, depending on matchup, he's going to, you can see this kind of production with him. I think now Sarkisian's knows that he needs to get him more involved in the game script. And Sanu doesn't need to steal all the touchdowns. And I think in all games, at NBA, basketball, baseball, football, everything, reward your guys. Like you got a center at the rim. He's playing hard on defense. You want to give him an alley-oop, And in football, your guy wants to go and he wants to catch a touchdown, So just get your players that make you the plays, that get you there, that fill your stands up, get them the ball. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. You heard it here first. No, I went over to this one play, and this was with Cooper Kupp, and this was on a lineup that I did on FanDuel. And what I did is, me and Paulie were talking the other night, and we were saying we want to when we're doing lineup structures is make almost like a cash game lineup, and then take one of the chalky plays and just make one pivot. And then that'll do it. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to show you this lineup that I did, and I would have won. And this I had a decent day. This was my best lineup probably of the day. But the one, let's see if you could tell who was my one, the one change, that the switch, and I would have gotten a lot more if I would have just kept Kupp in there. And that's what's so frustrating was Brandon LaFell. I was thinking that A.J. Green was going to be locked down by McCourty, and he was one of the top corners rated in Pro Football Focus. The guy facing LaFell was ranked number 79th. And Tyler Boyd caught a touchdown that might have went to LaFell, and that might have been better. Look through this lineup real quick. How do you think about this lineup? I mean, to me, I feel like it missed just barely. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the Kareem Hunt. I mean, I'm a Chiefs fan, and everybody knows that, but I'm not on the Chiefs at all anymore. Until Andy Reid can start playing his guys and playing them the right way, I'm off of them. So I can see why you went there, but I can also see why you shouldn't have gone there. And then the Michael Thomas, I would have talked you off of him. I know people are big fans of Michael Thomas, but understand that there's only 2 plays in New Orleans right now, and that's Ingram and Kamara. Don't even worry about the rest of the team there. They're gonna sporadically have a game. Michael Thomas is gonna have a game. I get it, but I'm playing the odds there. LaFell is the play. I really didn't like that play. He wasn't on any of my radars. I go Croft all day long over him, so it's Green and then Croft in the pecking order for me there. I didn't like Green this week, and so Croft was my guy. So that's where I would have gone there. I would have just got rid of LaFell. And I like the Zerline play. I think you could have gone a little bit cheaper with the defense and gone either Philadelphia or Patriots to get a little bit more option up in your receivers. But Jaguars, again, I can't complain about 11 points. And then hindsight 2020, now we look at the winning lineup, and we saw what Phil Dawson did. So you could have saved, a couple $100 there too. So yeah, really the pivots are, the LaFell, the Hunt, and the Thomas. Just imagine if you would have plugged in Kamara instead of Hunt,
Kupp,
and then Kupp and Cooks, because you're gonna fit them all in there. You would have crushed it. This would have been a 230-point lineup.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is I had Kupp in there, but then at 5,400 there was Kupp, there was LaFell, and then there was Corey Davis, who people were talking about too. So I think I even had another lineup with Corey Davis in there too, trying to at least go a little bit contrarian, just a little bit different. It's just a point, guys, is that what we're trying to show you is that this was me trying to be off the grid just a little bit, and if it hit, nobody else would have had it, and me trying to tell Johnny that was my thinking. Just the numbers kind of think maybe LaFell at his price could have done a little bit better, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. In hindsight, being 2020, I had, like I said, I had some of Kamara. I just didn't have full. I did not have a cash game Kamara. That's for sure. But
and then just bringing up one thing real quick about the Corey Davis train.
Mm-hmm.
I was completely off of that Tennessee passing game. I just think there's too many options there. And honestly, when has any of those receivers blown up?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and Mariota has looked horrible. So like, I don't know what the fad was, and a lot of people were on those plays. At 4,900, there was so many better plays on DraftKings than that play. So again, sometimes we talk ourselves into plays, and we listen to some people in the industry that are smarter than us, or we think they're smarter than us, and so we go with those plays, and they're not good plays. If you do your research, and we would have found out that none of those were good plays.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right.
The only thing that opened the plays up for it was that Matthews was out, Rashard Matthews was out, but he's not a good play either. So like, I just think sometimes we have to look at our process and just make sure that we're not just throwing players in to get cute, but we're throwing in players that legitimately have a shot of winning a tournament. And I didn't think that value there that opened up had tournament winning upside. So that's why I didn't go there.
All right. Let's move on to tight ends, and then we'll get on out of here. Tight ends, top 5, Ertz, Gronk, Ricky Seals-Jones, Jack Doyle, and Delaney Walker, with Graham looking in, but he still did pretty well. Is Ricky Seals-Jones a thing now? I mean, I feel like Gabbard's thrown to him now 2 weeks in a row, and he's getting the targets. What do you think?
I guess this must be something that we talked about a couple weeks ago. This is like the we're on the second team together, and we're going to build chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're my favorite play. I guess as long as Gabbard's the quarterback, I guess he's the thing. I don't know if I'm going to play him. Like but I mean, we have to look at his pricing next week and see where he's at and the matchup. But I mean, you have to look at the numbers and look at the production he's had the last 2 weeks, and you have to, validify that by the matchup and everything else. But I think that, I think he's a play. I mean, it's going to tell us, 1 week, okay, it's luck. 2 weeks, okay, 3 weeks, and then when am I going to be 5 weeks before I jump on the train, and then I'm way behind the curve, and then I'm paying $6,000 for him instead of $3,500. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and tight end is so crazy this year. It's there really hasn't been anybody. There's been so many ebbs and flows. Now you have, Kelsey was the man. Now he's going down. It's so different. And I don't know. Who was your most owned tight end yesterday?
I just went Croft. I knew he was going to get in the end zone, so I knew I would get close to value.
Mm-hmm.
It was only 3,900, so I knew that he's not going to kill me. So I probably went about 70% on him. And then I mixed and matched some other plays, but I liked him just because of the price matchup, and I just wasn't like tight end for me, just because it's been such an up and down year with the tight end. I'm just trying to play a tight end that's going to get me points and not going to kill me. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I agree. And all right, let's go over to the defenses real quick to see who the top defenses were, because there was some Pats D and the Panthers. They just went up. Panthers were like dormant, and then they got a fumble recovery or something, and a pick six, and then they ran back a punt. You get that, and boom, you're the number 1 defense of the week. On top of the Chargers, I guess they were first on Thursday. Who was you said you had Panthers, Patriots, and Eagles?
I had Patriots, Eagles. I had the Falcons. Didn't work out real well for me, but I had some Falcons on the cheap, but that just allowed me to get a lot in there. Those were my main 2. I was off Jacksonville. It's just too expensive.
Cool. Yeah, I had Eagles, and I had some Jags, as we saw, and then Pittsburgh. Those were my 3. And I was, like I said, we talked about it. I was shocked about Pittsburgh. Yeah, I thought they were about as safe a bet as we had this week. It just lined up that way. Sunday Night Football, Sunday Night Hammer, everything just at least at 10 points. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm glad I faded the Pittsburgh Steelers defense for tonight's game.
Mm-hmm.
I got Ravens going into tonight, and I'm way ahead of the field. So I'm glad that I faded the Pittsburgh defense.
So, 2 seconds. I know you didn't probably do anything. You got Houston and Baltimore tonight, and then Thursday you have Skins and the Cowboys. Are you just totally going, maybe with Macklin, maybe one player, and then going all to the other game, or if you're playing this slate, or
No, I'm going to play some plays from here. I'm looking at
Lamar
Hopkins
Miller?
is too cheap. No, Hopkins is too cheap.
Okay, Hopkins. Okay.
Hopkins way too cheap for his targets he's going to get. I mean, look at he's put up 20 points every week. So he's way too cheap. I'm not on Macklin. I actually like Mike Wallace more.
Now that's a hot take.
Really?
Because all I've been hearing all week is how Macklin's going to be more in the slot, and he's on Kareem Jackson, the same guy that Larry Fitzgerald bent over and raped last week. So I'm just that's so they're saying Wallace is like more just hoping that he beats him deep and stuff, and Macklin's going to be the volume guy tonight. That's what I've been hearing. So
I'm not a Macklin guy. I mean, I think he's used up.
That's why.
Yeah, he's like we threw him away. So
I guess I hate him.
I don't. Yeah, but I mean Wallace. I think Wallace is more talented. Honestly, I know he's been in some bad situations. He's in Miami and all these different places ever since he left Pittsburgh. But I think he's fast. I like him. I don't think anybody's moved. I don't think that Houston's going to be able to cover him. I don't think Houston's defense is very good. I look back at the Seattle game, and I understand that Flacco is not Russell Wilson. I get it, but they torched them deep all game long. That's where they beat them. You're gonna see Wallace break a big one tonight. Count that down. Send me. Tweet me if you want. If I don't, but understand that I'm gonna start running my Twitter is going to go crazy. I'm probably going to blow up the internet tonight if Mike Wallace puts up 20 DK points. I predict him to put up 20 DK points tonight. And if he does, I'm going to make all the money. So I do like Houston. Receivers, a little bit of Ellington for me, a lot of Hopkins, and that's my build for tonight. That's what's my Sunday Monday games I'm waiting on, and the defense from the Ravens. And then I haven't made a lot of lineups for next week. I'm fading for the Thursday game, I should say. I'm fading Lamar Miller. I'm just not a big fan of Lamar Miller. I'm more on the Collins train. I like Collins a lot tonight. I think that he's a good play. And I'm looking at some plays for Thursday still. Like I'm kind of off, but what was that?
Samaje Perine, maybe?
I like Perine a little bit. Let me just pull up real quick here. What I got? Second. I like Perine. I like if I'm going with my quarterback play, it would be waiting on Cubs. I think he's the better. I'm not a Flacco guy. I don't think anybody ever should be a Flacco guy. It just doesn't sound right. If you're going to put your hopes and dreams in Flacco. I like the Ravens defense for the Thursday games a lot. I think that they're my lock. I like Jamison Crowder. Vernon Davis would probably be my tight ends. Hopkins, yeah. So my build, I'll give a couple plays out here for tonight. My build is for this slate. I'm looking at Alex Collins and Perine at running back, and then I'm looking at Crowder. I'm going to wait for Crowder. And then I've already told you some other plays. So I'm not going to give you everything. But if you listen to this show, the last 4 minutes of it, I've given you a great lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So just piece it together and you guys count all that money.
Mm-hmm. I wrote it down. All right, guys. That'll do it. Thank you for joining us here on the NFL Weekly Review show. Be sure to catch us, some of us, on Wednesday when we go over the first look for week number 13. There's only 5 weeks left in the season, in the regular season, and then it goes to the playoffs. And, be sure to join wisetake.com. You get the premium content, my article, Johnny's late videos, and premium. You get basketball if you go change the monthly for all sports. You get 7 days free, and it's a $24.99. You get a 7-day free pass to see if you like it. And guys, it's great. We have a great time. We have a lot of fun. Be sure to check out Johnny on some of the Basketball Wise streams if you're a basketball member, and be sure to join us on Thursday or actually Saturday, we have the premium live stream for week 13. And then, of course, more content. We have me and Paulie D doing a game-by-game analysis either Thursday or Friday that will come out. So any last words, Johnny?
Yeah, let me just give a quick plug out there. So we're going to try to get my pick six plays out a little bit earlier this week. We kind of decided last minute we were going to do that. And then look for, in the coming days, look for a pick show, a little quick video for me with NBA. We're going to try to do that a couple days a week. So look forward for that. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to message me on Twitter, GDaddy80.
That's right. All right. That's awesome. All right, guys. So that was a lot of fun. So for Johnny the Greek, I'm Patio Joe, and we're out.